Hi YouTube, I'm EYeOnAiman. Welcome back to one of my auto repair videos. Today I'm going to show you how to remove and replace the fan motor on a 2003 to 2008 Honda Accord. Removing the fan shroud is very simple and easy. There are a few bolts you have to unscrew. There's 1, 2, 3. A few hoses you have to disconnect. 1, 2. And a few plugs that you need to connect. 1, 2 here, and 3 here. There's a few plug connectors that you might have to tilt the fan shroud in order to take them out. And finally, there is this part right here that you might have to remove in order to slide it up. We're going to take our Milwaukee cordless ratchet and unscrew the bolts. I think next I'm going to deal with the hoses. So this one's, you can just remove it easily. You just have to wiggle it. Now for this one you need pliers to undo the clamp. I don't want to lock it just yet because it's really hard to unlock it, but maybe we have to. That's alright. Oh, it locked anyway, so just slide that down here. Just slide it as much as you can so that you can wiggle the thing off, wiggle the hose off. So now we can wiggle the hose off. There might be some coolant coming out, so you might want to put a drain pan. I'm not sure if you can see it, but we have a drain pan down there. It's the red thing. So we're going to wiggle it out. We're going to try to stuff it back here so it's out of the way. The final step is to remove the wires. So they're really easy to unsnap. So you press on this and it should be able to pull them apart. On this side you have to unsnap this one. So easy as 1, 2, 3. And usually it's like in this mount, so you might have to pull it out, but that's alright since ours was separated. And down here it doesn't look like there is one, so we're going to do the final step and remove this. So this one's really easy. All you have to do is like either take it out by hand or use pliers to remove the fastener right here. There are 2 of them. Alright, perhaps a better tool for this would be a pry bar, since it looks like these fasteners are meant to be pried out. So just try to stick it under and remove it. So the way it comes out is you slide it up and it goes over this sort of hose right here, or wire. You want to slide it up carefully. Make sure you don't lose the fasteners either. I'm going to put that there for now. I think we're good. So now we should be able to lift it out. Let's hope we did everything. Some things might get caught, so you might have to finagle it a bit. But in the end, you should be able to take it out fairly simply. And there we go. Earlier I was talking about that you might have to tilt the fan in order to remove some of the wire holders. And the way you do it is that when you have it sort of like this while it's in there, you can tilt it back and sort of get your hands in there. Imagine that the fan shroud is in the next to the radiator right now. Then you can push it out using your hands, or you can use pliers. It's already pushed out anyway, but you can use pliers and you can use it. So where did it go? Let me get it. So that way you can reuse the wire holders, which look like these, or it looks like this. So this one I'm going to use pliers to disconnect, and they come off easily because we already broke it, but that's what they look like. Here we have the fan that's not working. It's on your left. It has the X on it. We're going to remove it. In order to do that, we have to remove this bolt. So we're going to use an 8mm socket with on a 1/4 inch ratchet. So my dad suggests using this instead of a drill like this, because if you use this and you make a mistake, you might strip the bolt. Sometimes you might have to use this in case the bolt's like really rusty, but my dad doesn't recommend using it. He recommends using this. So we're going to hold the fan while you remove it, because when you just do this, it's going to spin anyway, just like a car wheel would, car tire. And we're just going to remove it. Make sure you have a good hold on it. Alright, so the ratchet wasn't ratcheting, so we're going to move it out by hand because that indicates that it's loose. So we have a nut right here. So now we can just lift the fan out of its housing. There we go. This is the motor. Next step is to take out these 3 bolts. Now there are 2 ways to take them out. First off is the 8mm socket 1/4" ratchet. There's also, you can use a star bit, and I don't know why they have star bit, so you can see that it's a star. I don't know why they have it. Maybe when it's rusted you can use the star bit instead of a ratchet, but we're just going to use the ratchet anyway because it's much more easier. Alright, after this it's simple. You just have to snap it out, the wire out. Shouldn't take too much force. So here we have the old motor. Now we're going to replace it with a new motor. So have it right here. Now at a dealership, a new one will cost you around $300. At an auto parts store, a new motor will cost you around $70. We bought this off of Amazon for around $40. So it's right here. To replace the motor, to put it back in, is same, but reverse. So the thing about installing it is that it's made a certain way so that there's only one way to align it. It's dummy proof actually. So if you can't put the part in, it doesn't mean that you have the wrong part. It just means that you have to turn it to align it correctly. Actually, we already had it align it correctly. So this is where it's aligned, and you can see that all the holes are in place. So when I turn it around, you can see that this one is going to be aligned, but the other holes are not. So in essence, it's dummy proof. Alright, so like I said, installing it is the same as removing it, but in reverse. So we're going to snap the wire back in. Make sure to hold the motor in place. Make sure that you align it correctly. So I have to align it. Make sure you align it correctly before you snap the wires back in. So, alright, they're aligned properly. We're going to snap the wires back in. Now we're going to take the bolts. I'm going to try to hold it while I screw it a few threads in before you put the other bolts in. Don't screw it in entirely yet. You want to give it a bit of wiggle room. Once you have the 3rd bolt in, it should be easy to do the 3rd bolt. And then you have the 3rd bolt. Alright, next step is to tighten it to the right torque. So we're going to take our ratchet wrench. We're going to tighten it to right torque. We're just going to turn it a bit, make sure it's tight enough. Don't strip it. And then we're going to put the blade back on. So you can turn it over. Then you want to unscrew the bolt right here. So you can use a drill, but we're going to use the ratchet. You might have to use a drill if it spins. It's already loose, so I'm just gonna screw it out by hand. And now we can put the fan back on. If you look on the fan blade in the center, it's cut out so that it has a special shape that when you put it on, it should be able to lock in place. And when you put it back on, you should try to turn it around to make it slip in. So it slips on like that, and it should lock in place, so it doesn't have as much wobble as if it wasn't aligned. And you want to take the bolt, you want to put it back on, screw it in with a few threads, and then you can torque it using the ratchet. So I'm going to use the ratchet. Up, wrong way. Make sure the fan's on the side. And it looks like it's all torqued. Next step is putting the fan back in. You can also test the fan to make sure it works, and I have a video on that, so if you want you can go check it out and I'll see you there. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and look at videos on EYeOnAiman, especially the auto repair videos. And I guess that's it. Mechanic EYeOnAiman signing out. Peace. be careful with the fan shroud. You don't want to break it back. Alright, so next up is putting the fan shroud back, and it's just the reverse process of removing it. So I probably won't show too much. We'll probably just fast forward through it, but we'll see. So I'll just take that back up, slide it in there. Scariest part of putting your fan back. So I'll put the middle one first, tighten it as far as I can with my hands. Then we'll go over it later with the Milwaukee, but that comes later. At the end I'll tighten everything instead of right now, probably. Okay, now I'll tighten that later, but I'll put the plugs back in. You can tell which way they are connected by the clips. On this side, they also have the wire that you have to connect, and they go together the same way. Make sure that they're the same side. Okay, next step is the hoses, and I'm missing something. And the mount. Alright, so this one goes on easily. No finagling needed. This one might be a bit harder, but since the clamp's already down there, we don't have to worry too much. Alright, so we'll take our pliers. Alright, so we're gonna finagle the clamp over. I guess you don't have to do this, but it'd probably be best to put it in the spot where it was before. So make sure that it's in its indent that it forms. Next up, we're going to put the fasteners back in. So this one is missing its fastener, so we have a zip tie fastener here to replace it. So the way it works is that from this angle you can actually see where the zip tie is supposed to go in. The reason we have these fasteners is so that the wires do not go into the fan when it's running. If it did, that would be pretty bad. Next step is to put the, I don't know what this part is called still, but we're going to put it back on. So this U-shaped hole is cut out. It goes onto this bolt right here. It has a sort of groove where it fits on. So we're just going to slide it on. Alright, and as you can see, it fits perfectly. Now we're going to put these fasteners back on. They can just be snapped in. Might take a lot of force. One thing I want to mention, a lot of mechanics definitely do this, is you should definitely disconnect the battery before you do this. We didn't do it, but as a precaution, especially for safety reasons, you should definitely work with the battery disconnected. Alright, next step is to refill the coolant. Now, since we still have a bit more diagnosings to do, we're going to put in water instead. Wait, this isn't water. Especially if you live in the northeastern area of the US or in areas where there's a cold winter, you want to make sure that you replace that water with coolant, because if you still have water in there during the cold winter, it's going to freeze up and it's going to make your radiator burst, or it's going to make it corrode. To open the radiator cap, you need to put pressure on it and then twist it. Now, I don't know exactly when it comes out. Alright, so it comes out, and as you can see, you need to put pressure on it in order to open it when you turn it. So you don't have to use a funnel, but it certainly makes it easier to use a funnel. We're going to put it down there. And I remember last time I did this, I was a bit careful with how much I poured. But we don't need to worry about a spill, it's just water. So